Hello. I came up with an amazing idea. Actually, I don't know if it's amazing, and I did not just come up with it. I have had this idea for quite some time now. But I am just now coming around to making it because somehow this whole thing scares me, because I feel like I can't be as chaotic as I usually am. So I had to do a little bit of prepping. And because my first video that I made, I went into that without any prepping and it didn't work out so well. Most of all because my head was cut off like here. Yeah, so now I actually took some notes. I planned a structure for this video and now we will try it out. In a sense, I will be disrupted. No, I will not. Nice. So I even made a little poster. We are doing today the first episode of What I Knit and What I Learned. And yeah, I'm planning on talking about the projects. Did you hear my cat? I hope you didn't hear my cat. The projects that I knit so far and what I learned from them, because when I started with most of my projects, I wasn't as experienced as I am now, of course, because you gain experience with every knit. Yeah, and so this one that I want to talk about today is the Lillehammer pullover by Ellisknitwear. The designer is a Dutch designer and she is called MJ Wilms. She is on Instagram. She does very, very cool stuff, a lot of color work, but also some cables. And her projects all look extremely neat, extremely well done. I love them. And she is also very, very nice. Very neurospicy, which I love. I can relate. Yes, so when I saw the test call for the Lillehammer pullover, I absolutely wanted to get into this. And I might have mistaken some vocabulary and therefore told her in the application form that you fill out, or that I filled out, that I was already versed in Steeking, which I was not. MJ, if you see this, I'm sorry I lied to you. I didn't know, because I confused it with some other vocabulary. I was just getting into English knitting vocabulary, and therefore, yeah, I was kind of lost. But this is the finished thingy. I will also show you a picture of what I saw in the test card that made me fall in love with it. And yeah, before we get into this, I want to tell you what structure I thought of and yeah, what to expect in this video. So the first thing that I can already cross off my list is the designer and the name, because I noticed in my previous videos that I often don't manage to tell you what I'm actually knitting or who the designer is. And I wanted to make sure I did that this time. So I put it on my little note. Then I will tell you about the general construction, about some modifications that I may or may not have made, and what techniques were required for this knit. And then my assessment of the whole thing and what I learned. Yes, so the general construction of this thing is, it is a bottom-up sweater. So I started at the ribbing. I don't know what you see or don't see. That's always very helpful. I think I'm the only person that doesn't film with like anything to watch herself in. So I'm filming blind. I don't know what you can see. I hope you can see what I want you to see, which is this pullover, and which by now is the ribbing, because it starts here. We go all the way up. Then here, the construction makes you put in a steek bridge, and then you just go all the way up until here. Here you have another steek bridge for the collar, and then you finish the whole thing off by knitting these together with a, I don't know, 3-needle bind off, I think it's called. So it's a bottom-up construction with steeking. So basically you knit a tube. Then you do steeking reinforcements on the collar and the armholes. You cut the thing, and then you pick up stitches for the 2 sleeves, and you pick up stitches for the collar. I was very interested because this was not my first colorwork sweater. In general, I did one before, but the one I did before was just a very small repetitive repetition, so that I didn't think about it, and when I did that I didn't have any clue. I just did it and it worked fine. But with this, of course, it felt more like a color work because it has this whole nice pattern and stuff. So it felt like this was my first color work project. This was the first where I thought about things like color combination, color dominance, float management and all. I'm gonna get into this later. But yes, we started at the rib. Now, in hindsight, I would have made the ribbing a little tighter, maybe with a smaller needle. But I don't know if the pattern says to do it in the same, or if I just didn't think about it. Both possible, probably the latter. But yeah, I think it's fine. My first problem with this was that I am very bad at choosing colors. I recently saw a video of Eva. She's on Instagram and YouTube with the handle Stockinette Bitch. And she said that she often was complimented for her use and combination of colors, and I am the absolute opposite. I am so lost. The only color combination I find myself really comfortable with choosing is pink and red, like in this tiny swatch here. This I'm good with. Everything else is beyond me, unfortunately. So I swatched like a mad woman for this one. I even swatched in the round, as you can see here. And yeah, I would show you my swatches because I kind of like them. I did this. The pattern suggested the Per Gynt yarn by Sandnes Garn, or the Double Sunday by Sandnes Garn. And yeah, so these are done in Per Gynt because I don't know why, I just did them in this color combinations, these color combinations, but it took me forever to choose, and I have a whole note document thingy in my phone with, I don't know, maybe 6 more color combinations, because every time I get into planning my next color work, I get so overwhelmed. I look at all the colors in all the yarns possible, and yeah, it is just too much. So I first knit this. I liked it, but I felt like it's a little too 80s vibey because of this ice flower motif. I felt like it already had a kind of an 80s vibe, and I didn't want to lean into that too hard by choosing such a bright vibrant color combination. So then I thought I would do the opposite and got with a very muted palette, and this is it's a tweed yarn. The creamy one is a tweed yarn, and the black, I'm not a big fan of black. I have one knitted sweater in black, but besides that I wear very little black. I'm not a big fan. I understand that people wear it, I just don't like it on me, and I also don't like it because dyeing anything in a pure black is very harsh on the environment, and just I don't see the point. But I then did this because I like the combination of black and a creamy white, and I also like the tweedy bits also, but although you couldn't see them as good as I wished for. But as you see, I did not choose this either. I also did, as you can see here, I did 2 tries with the main color. I switched the main color in this banderole part. How do you say it? Oh, that is my cat again. I closed the door, and it's a personal offense to her. So I will now open the door. Give me a second. Hey, you want to come in or not? Okay. What? Oh no, people have seen my very shitty. You can't show people that. And please, no, come, go away. Thank you. Okay, we will now put something in front of this. Then I will go away, and then I will just cut the 2 together as if this was the plan all along. I'm a genius. If you want to disrupt this whole thing, you have to go. Bye. Okay, so as you can already see, I did not choose this color combination either. I then got started on a third one, which was with the double Sunday in very dark navy tone and black. Because somehow I love the idea of black and dark blue color work that you can't really see, but just when the light just hits just right. I don't know why I love this idea, but nobody else does, so I didn't get around to doing it. And also I noticed that I wouldn't be able to knit it because it was, I don't know, September or something, and the light got kind of scarce, and I didn't have my very nice neck lamp, so I would just have had like 3 hours a day or something with enough daylight to work on it. So I decided not to do that. Then I will be honest, I got very desperate at this point. But I had this yarn, this orangey yarn here in my stash that I had ordered for something, and I didn't like the color because it's Knitting for Olive heavy merino in blood orange, and I had expected it to be a more vibrant orange, more bright. And although this is a very nice orangey red, it is too muted for my taste, and I didn't want to use it the way I had expected to use it. So I had that, and I couldn't return it at this point because of course I ordered it, I left it. I knew the moment I unboxed it that I wouldn't like this color. And the thing I did about that was absolutely nothing. I just left it there and brooded on it. I don't know. That's what I do when I order stuff I don't like. I just leave it there and hope for the best. And then I thought, okay, I will just do this sweater with it. Then I will have at least used it up and will be happy. This is what I did. I then ordered the contrast color, which is oatmeal. I don't know. I think they changed the name. I'm not sure. But yeah, it was called oatmeal at that point. Please don't. Yes. I did the swatch. I did it in the round. I didn't even do any stick bridges or something. And then I got started on the whole thing. And the interesting thing with color work is that it is very engaging and also somehow extremely annoying to me. I don't know how that works. And especially with this, it was annoying at first because I kind of understood the pattern, but it always takes some time for me to really get into it, which is completely normal, I'm sure. And yeah, I kind of like that. I had like the most stitch markers on my needles ever, I think. For me to, yeah, just know where a pattern ended, where the new one starts, where the star started, blah, blah, blah. But it worked fine and it was very nice. But it also, at the same time, I was very engaged and I was like, okay, one more round, blah, blah, blah. But also I was kind of annoyed and was like, let's please be done with it. I don't know how this combination always happens when I do color work. Maybe I shouldn't do color work, but it's also so fun. Yeah, in the beginning I put a little stitch marker in every teeny tiny mistake that I made, because I made a lot. The higher I got, the more I couldn't be bothered with my mistakes, and I did not fix any mistake on this thing. Every mistake that is there will stay there forever, because I don't want to do duplicate stitch, because I hate that. But I think it looks kind enough, cute enough, good enough. Maybe getting back to the construction part, the sleeves are tapered, as you can see. So you have to do decreases while doing color work, which was kind of a little mindfuck for me at first, but I got around very quickly, I think, and it worked just fine. Talking about modifications, I just chose to get to do 2 rows of the contrast color in 2 stripes in all the ribbing. I don't know why, I just like it. And to the technical part we get later. And that is it. I had to push myself through this whole thing a little, but we will also talk about this later, because I have a structure. Now getting to the technical part. What you have to do with this knit is, first and foremost, do color work, have some plan for your floats, have some plan for float managing, because this was, as I said, my first real color work, which was over a bigger repeat of like more than, the other thing was like 6 stitches was a repeat, I think. I don't know how many stitches the repeat of this has, but it's many. And as you can see when I hold this thing up, in the beginning I did not do anything with my float. So the longest float is, I think, over 11 stitches maybe. So it was quite a lot, and I didn't do anything with it. I heard here and there and in the group, no, there wasn't a group chat for this, I think, but I got in contact with some people. Every time MJ reposted someone posting about this sweater, about their test knit of the sweater, I messaged that person, and so I got in touch with some people, and some told me about float management and this and that. And later on, as you can see here, as the sweater progressed, I got the news that you should better have float management. So I started Ladderback jacquard. It feels so wrong, but I think that's the name. Which is where you pick up a stitch that you then purl. All the other stitches are knitted, and then you purl that stitch on a longer float, and you always knit the color you are not using in this purl, or you purl the color you're not using at said stitch. And then when you are ready and you don't need this extra stitch for your floats anymore, you just knit it together with a usual knit stitch before that. There you see the Ladderback, which is now upside down. Yeah, here you can see it better. You just pick up one stitch from the non-prominent yarn, or the yarn in the back, the float. You just flip it one time and then pick up a stitch. And while you knit all the other stitches, knit stitches, this will be a purl. And then you just always purl this with the color that you don't use at this point. And then when you decide that you no longer need the Ladderback, the thingy, you can, let me see, you just knit it together with a stitch with a prominent yarn, or with a yarn in front. You just knit the two together. That works better when this stitch has the same color as the front color stitch, but it works both ways. It's really easy, and I knew this technique beforehand because I studied textiles and I specialized in machine knitting, or industrial machine knitting. And there is a way of color jacquard. It's called, color work is called color jacquard, or intarsia, which is the other part where you don't do a jacquard. And for this jacquard, there's different kinds of float management, basically. And one of it is like doing this, but on a machine. So I knew that it could be done and how it was done. So I just did it. I didn't really think about it. And later on, I saw in another video of, I think the person is called Louise. I will have to check, that she used this technique and was so happy about it. And I was like, hey, yay, I did that too. Then I was very proud, of course. And it is way better to do that, because otherwise you have like very long floats, and when you put on your sweater, you can catch the floats with, I don't know, a wristwatch or something, and in the worst case snap them. And also managing your tension with your contrast yarn over such a long distance is very challenging. I'm very happy that this thing turned out as good as it did, because I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Also, what I learned while doing this sweater is, now we are in the what I learned part already, but we were just talking about techniques. Whatever. they go hand in hand, is that there is such a thing as color dominance. Apparently, and I think from my study brain, I would say it has something to do with yarn tension. I'm fairly certain it has, but I did not, which is a mistake because I wanted to read up on this beforehand, but I did not do it because I was somehow dreading this video, and then I just decided I have to do it now. Otherwise, I will never do it. So I will read up on this later. I will put it here, here, here. I don't know. But yeah, I think it has something to do with color, with yarn tension and the main color and the contrast color. How their yarn tension will influence how much the yarn or the stitch pops out optically. And as you can, I think you can somewhat see it on my floats here, because I find, so to me it looks like here the grayish floats are more visible, more popping, and here the orange floats have an optical dominance. And in my video that I made that I didn't use, I then turned to the right side of the sweater and looked if they are any different in the front. I personally think they are not, which is a very bad example of color dominance, but maybe you think differently. Let me know in the comments if you like. But I think you can see it very clear in this, because I find that I think the black is the dominant color here, and I find that the black comes out more in both these patterns. So the white one kind of looks, or the white, these tiny rectangles, these tiny angle thingies pop out more here, here than here. And I think this has to do with color dominance. Yeah, I stop talking about this now because I really have no clue, and we all know it by now. So this is another thing that I got into while knitting this sweater, and I watched very many videos of it afterwards, but I think I did fine. I'm happy with how it turned out. Then another technique I used to get my neat stripes in a 1x1 ribbing is that when I changed the color, I did not do the 1x1 ribbing, but only did knit stitches for one round, then got back into the ribbing. And that I did with every color change. I think this is nothing phenomenal. Everybody knows this by now. There are like 100 million videos that tell you to do this clever hack. So I don't want to bore you, but this is what I did. And yeah, as you can see, it goes back into the ribbing form. It's not bothered that there's like a row of knit stitches here or there. The overall construction remains a ribbing, but it makes it more neat optically. Yes. And the biggest part, which you all were probably aware of by now, is that this pullover involved steeking. I personally have the ego of a white cis hetero man in his 60s when it comes to knitting, which I would love to have in any other parts of my life. I don't, but when it comes to knitting, I am fearless and overconfident. So every time I I find a new technique, I'm like, I can do this. Even though I never did it, even though I have no clue how hard it is, I'm just very sure that I can do it. I think I managed everything so far, it will be fine. So when it came to Steeking, I was just like, whoopsie. I told her I did that before. I didn't. How hard can it be? Others do it too. And it was very easy and not at all frightening. I understand that it is very scary to knit, to cut in your knits. For everybody who doesn't know Steeking, it is a technique where you have this steek bridge, which is usually like 5 to 9 extra stitches that you put in where you want your hole to be later on, and then you secure the legs of 2 of the stitch columns. You secure them together with an extra yarn. You can do that by crocheting, by using a sewing machine. I think there's also some other ways. You can of course sew it by hand too. And then you do this at 2 sides of the Steeking bridge. Like if this is my bridge, I would do it here and I would do it here. With this you secure all the stitches that you have, and then you cut in between these Steeking reinforcements. Then the Steeking reinforcement, they kind of, or the parts that you have, then the rest of the steek bridge, it will just fold over to the inside, so that you then have a very neat edge where you can pick up new stitches for your collar or sleeve or whatever you need. And what is important for Steeking is that you either have a technique where you secure your yarn very, very tightly, very securely via a sewing machine, for example, or that your yarn has some level of structural properties where the fibers are coarse enough to grab onto each other, and make some kind of inter-yarn connection. So yeah, this is basically why color work looks as good and as even as it does, because the fibers of the 2 colors, or however many colors you have in Fair Isle, there's like way more colors than 2 in a color work. But the fibers of the 2 yarns, they grab onto each other, and with that they close the gaps between the stitches and make this very neat, how do you say it? This very neat area. Yeah, surface. Surface is the word. This very neat surface that looks like it's one surface, even though it's made of 2 or more yarns. And for this to work, you need a yarn that is a little coarse. It's very good with actual sheep's wool. If the yarn is too sleek, then it gets harder for Steeking to work. It's not impossible, but I think in order to have a really nice color work and to achieve a nice surface and good Steeking reinforcement, it's helpful that when your yarn is more coarse. And it works really, really well with the Knitting for Olive Heaven Merino. I did not expect this. I'm lying. I had no expectation at all when I got in there, so I did expect that because I expected everything to go very smoothly, and it did. I did the crochet reinforcement, which worked perfectly fine. I did it with a Lamana yarn I had. Lamana has this yarn which is called Shetland. It's really nice. It's a carded yarn. It has like 3 to 6%, I think 3% of merino fibers in it. It is otherwise lamb's wool, I think. It's a color work yarn. It has decay weight. It blooms a lot in the wash. And I love this yarn because they have the greatest melanges. I don't know, do you say melange or do you say blend in English? But they have amazing color variations in the yarns. And Lamana, for some reason that is beyond me, does not do any advertising for this yarn, which is so cruel because the yarn is beautiful. It is cheap. I think it's, I don't know, 4 euros is a ball. It is 185 meters per 25 grams. So it's amazing and people should know about it. So I'm telling you now, there you go. My personal favorite color is seagrass, which is number 74 or something. Yeah, this is what I used for my reinforcements. You can see this here. I will not go into the whole technique because there are videos that do that very well. And I would have needed to prepare way more if I wanted to tell you that now. Also, who knows if you're interested. So I will just leave it at that. I used the crochet reinforcement. It worked just fine. And I'm just now doing another test knit, also with color work, where also steeking is involved. And I will do it again. And I will also use the crochet reinforcement because it worked just fine for me. And I also heard, very interesting side fact, that there even are yarns that grab onto each other so nicely where you don't even need steeking reinforcements. You just do the steek bridge and then you cut into that and you just leave it as is and it works. Awesome. Very interesting. Yeah, so that is that. Yeah, I don't know if you spotted it, but this unraveled somehow. I will have to fix this. I am aware. When I finished the sweater, I decided I didn't love it at all. It looked ridiculous on me for some reason, which is also why I had to really push through to finish the whole thing, because at, I don't know, somewhere here, I noticed I wouldn't wear it at all because it was just not my sweater. And then I didn't find a person to gift it to, and I was just like, everybody was like, oh, what you're making, this is so cool. And I was like, yeah, you want to have it? Somehow they didn't. But one person luckily said she wanted it, and I was so happy to gift it to her because I took pictures with it to show it on Instagram, and even my pictures looked ridiculous. You can see in my face that I don't love the sweater. And I was kind of sad because I had spent the money for the yarn. I had spent a lot of time at this point to make it. And I just didn't love it. And she saw it and I was like, yeah, you want to have it? She was like, yeah, of course. I was like, yay, please have it. I finished it, I gave it to her, and she looks amazing in it. She just put it on right then and there. It was awesome. I was very happy. And also the sweater smells really nice now because it smells like her and she smells really nice, which I just realized when taking the sweater out of the little bag she gave it to me in, because I asked her if I could borrow it to make this video. And this is why I want to make this video, because first of all, I want to try this series format, whatever. I want to see if you like it, and I also want to see if I like it, and I also want to give her the sweater back. because now it's cold again in Germany. So she might need this sweater soon. Yeah, so this is everything I have to dish about the sweater. I love knitting off charts. I am a very visual learner, and when people just give me endless rows in you knit 2 stitches of this and then 2 stitches of that, blah blah blah, I read it and somewhere from here to there it gets lost. I don't comprehend shit. I have to read such steps like 50 times until I know what to do, and I currently lose where I am. Yeah, it's horrible. And with this, having a chart is just perfect for me. I will do very, very focusedly what you tell me to do there, or what is drawn on there, and I will be so happy. Please, everybody, give me charts for everything. I love me a good chart. You can cross out where you have been. It's perfect. It is just perfect. So the instruction for this was really nice. I understood everything very well, and I really like MJ. She responds very quickly in the test knit, and she's a very lovely person who does amazing things. So if you ever see anything you like that she did, that she calls for a test knit for, and you will because she does awesome stuff, then jump on the chance and just do it, because it's very easy and chillaxed, and I can't recommend her enough. Yeah, so that was everything I have to say, I think, about this sweater. I will just show it to you one more time because I'm proud, because it looks very nice. Yeah, and again, the yarn I used is Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino in the colors Blood Orange and Oatmeal. Whoopee!